Second that I saw Matt Damon and Ben Affleck was writing The Last Duel, I got insanely excited, but then I also saw that Ridley Scott was directing this, and if you followed me for a while, a lot of Ridley Scott movies lately have not hit the mark for me. Thankfully, The Last Duel is freaking awesome, and it blew the door off this entire kingdom. What's going on, buddy? Welcome back to a brand new movie review. Today we're going to be discussing The Last Duel. This is about a respected knight known for his bravery and skill in the battlefield, and his friend who is a squire whose intelligence and eloquency makes him one of the most admirable nobles in the court. When the respected knight's friend viciously assaults his wife, she steps forward to accuse her attacker in an act of bravery and defiance that puts her life in jeopardy. This ensuing the trial by combat, a grueling duel to the death, places the fate of all three in God's hands, and this is The Last Duel. Historically, this is an actual thing that really much happened, and the other thing I want to give it again, Ridley Scott, back in the day, Gladiator, my god, a masterpiece, perfection, one of the best films of all time. But again, like I mentioned, I'm not a big fan of Ridley Scott overall going about in time right now. The guy's still a solid director, but when it comes down to these fantasy movies, ever since Gods and Exodus, I've been scarred from going to see one of these from him, but I was a little bit more promising with this one because of the writers involved. Yes, Matt Damon, Ben Affleck had wrote this, but also the writer from Can You Ever Forgive Me, Nicole Holfensteiner, was also a big part of writing the script, which I loved Can You Ever Forgive Me, so there was a lot of things that was mixing in here to make it a great thing. Also, the movie stars Adam Driver, Ben Affleck, Matt Damon, Jodie Comer. I mean, all-star cast right there. This movie had to be great, and it absolutely was. In my opinion, it is pretty brilliant in the manner, in the substance that it was able to do, and it's one of the best movies of 2021, and I'm really excited now to see how House of Gucci turns out, and hopefully that turns out for the best. Because, I mean, if Ridley Scott has 2 big hits this year, maybe he's won me back over finally. Before we get any further, guys, make sure if you guys are new here, hit that like and subscribe button. I love talking movies, and if you guys are here, then you probably also love talking movies, so leave a comment down below. How excited are you for The Last Duel? Let's discuss it. So, of course, with a major cast like this, let's start with the major pros of it all. And the pros of this is the cast. Every performance in here is stellar. Matt Damon is great in here. And one of the things that I was actually really nervous about going into this movie, especially from some of the first looks, when it came down to Matt Damon and Ben Affleck, I did not believe the looks of their character. From the trailer, or even some of the stills, I was like, looks like they're just playing dress up. Thankfully, when the movie played, and in the context of it all, you totally forget that this is Matt Damon or Ben Affleck. They are really camouflaged into this role, and I don't know if that was because of their performance, the writing, the directing from Ridley Scott, whatever it was, maybe it's all of it put together. Thank God, because at no point in time did I was like, oh, that's Matt Damon, or like, that's Ben Affleck. They really sink their teeth into these characters, and Matt Damon's great, as well as Ben Affleck, who, for me, I think should easily get a Best Supporting Actor performance this year. It's not an emotional performance, per se, but it's a very charismatic one. To be honest, it's even a little bit eccentric. When you see the movie, you'll be shocked that this even works. Like, on paper, if I were to write out every single line in what Ben Affleck says, you'd be like, no way in hell that works. Works in the context of this movie, and I freaking adored his performance in here. There's a couple curse words he says that the way that he says it, that's how I want to say it now. Also, Adam Driver, of course, is great as well. He's one of the best actors working today, and he just proves again why. But the big standout of this entire movie is probably the same actress that you've heard time and time before, Jodie Comer, who was fantastic and stole the show in Free Guy earlier this year, and she does the exact same thing here. I think she's easily, depending on where they run her, whether it's Best Supporting Actress or Best Actress, she should easily get a nomination. Now, if it's Best Supporting Actress, and they could easily do that, I don't know if they will, she should win. Like, flat out, she should win. She gives one of my favorite performances of the year. Given I've not seen Kristen Stewart yet in Spencer, which I'm sure that'll change, I do see that. I still will contend that Jodie Comer gives one of the best performances of 2021. Let's talk about one of the other big stars of this film that isn't in front of the camera. That is Ridley Scott himself, Sir Ridley Scott, who I don't know him personally, but again, his movies just haven't hit the mark for me, but thank God The Last Duel did. This guy comes back in full force, bringing back this gritty realism of war in medieval times, as well as the brutality of it all. Every single fight scene, and as well as that final duel between Matt Damon and Adam Driver's character, is brutal. I mean, you are sitting there on the edge of your seat during that last duel, and it was filmed phenomenally. But even than that, there's a bunch of other action scenes set throughout the entire thing, and it really, in general, makes it an uncomfortable watch. And this isn't an uncomfortable movie. And I want people to understand that because of the context of what's going on in here, the scene between Adam Driver's character and Jodie Comer's character, when the vicious attack happens, It's triggering. Talking to a couple other critics who had seen the movie, they mentioned that word specifically, and this is a warning for people who may be triggered by certain events like that, because it's hard, it's tough to watch. And you know, being a guy, I don't know exactly how this might make other critics feel, whether you're a man or a woman or maybe anything that happened in your past. I have no idea how this is going to make other people feel. So if you didn't like the movie, I can understand that full-heartedly, because this is a tough watch to get through at times because of some of those vicious attacks. But it was still transfixed in the way that Ridley Scott was able to direct this in a style that made you, no matter what the outcome, you fully always believed in Jodie Comer's style. And this also goes down to the script, which I think is one of my favorite scripts of 2021, because the way and the manner that it was edited and created. When I tell you how the script is, it tells it from 3 different perspectives of the story. It tells it from Matt Damon's character, Adam Driver, and then finally Jodie Comer's. And as it goes from Act 1 to Act 2 to Act 3, when it started, I have no idea how this thing was going to work, because I usually hate movies like this. But this style was brilliant. By Jodie Comer's, I was fully sold and locked into this concept of everything going on, and seeing, of course, Matt Damon's perspective, and then seeing, you know, Adam Driver's perspective, and seeing the difference in between there, and then getting the Jodie Comer's perspective, and seeing how that finally changes. You finally see the truth of it all, and what was true and what wasn't. It's fascinating. And again, shout outs must be done to the script here, and as well as the directing and the editing, because it all brings it out to life in such a fantastic way. And of course, technically this movie is great. The sound design, the score, the cinematography, and even the costume design, it's just perfect. Which brings me now to my cons. My con for this movie is it's a bit too long. There's one segment in between here, that the Adam Driver segment of the movie, while acted greatly and Ben Affleck's fantastic throughout there, I had a little bit of issues with certain select things in there. And when you see the movie, you'll probably agree with me as well. There's certain decisions that, as his character is like giving his point of view, I just never was completely sold on. And I think it should have been written in a different manner, or even cut up a bit, because his part is really not that much different than Jodie Comer's, besides maybe a couple interactions here and there. And for me personally, I wish they would have changed it up a bit to help with the pacing of everything. But with all that said, The Last Duel is a great movie. This is one of Ridley Scott's best works in years, and I'm hoping House of Gucci will continue that, because I was surprised by this one. It's excellent script and fantastic performances, especially from Jodie Comer and Ben Affleck, who both deserve an Oscar nomination. This is a movie to truly go and see out this week, and if you're looking for something that's different than the blockbusters, this will have your attention. So with all that said, I'm going to give The Last Duel an A-. Once again, guys, for watching this. You guys should see all the best. I had a blast with this one, and I can't wait to hear your guys' thoughts on it at all. Let me know down below in the comment section what was your feelings on this. Is a safe place to discuss, and we can have a great conversation down there. As well, guys, make sure to head on over to Sandwich on Films on how to see films early. And, of course, a big thank you to you, and a big thank you to my Patreon supporters, because without you, I wouldn't be able to do this. So, of course, until next time, stay classy.